Yeah, man.
Hey, bro, how you doing? Good to see you.
Very welcome over. Yeah, thank you for having me. Squeaky chair. Yeah, man. So this is episode 3, and I really appreciate you showing up for this. You know, I have so much love for you, and you have such a sweet place in my heart. And just to give you, your flowers and a little perspective on who you are to me, you were one of the first places that I ever showed any art at. Lauren, we were hanging out one day and she was like, "Hey, I met this guy named Gilby at Dark Bar, and which is no longer here." And she was like, "He has a gallery. We're talking to him. He gave me his card. We should go to one of his shows." And then I remember coming up here and I was like, "This is so awesome." And Kelsey had, I believe, the little neon night lights that he was making, which I really regret not buying one. And I was really trying to not be a tool and ask you how to show some work with you.
I remember meeting Lauren at the Dark Bar and having that conversation. And I remember, and you should have bought one of those. I think they were like $75.
They were like 120.
Maybe 120. Okay, well, it's still cheap. Affordable. It's still cheap.
But at the time,
yeah, no, I got you.
Couldn't. Now I'll ask him, and he'll just be like, yeah. And then I don't know. I think I may have come to another show, and then you, I think, started following me on Instagram, and then hit me up. And I remember I showed some horse paintings at a group Christmas show.
Yes, they were on this wall. I put shelves on them.
Yeah. And then I ended up selling, I think, like 3 out of 5 or so. And then, one day you ended up hitting me up about showing more work. And the thing that I want to really, I guess, take a minute and thank you for is all of my weird ideas for shows and work, like paintings of dead bodies and all of this stuff. Like, you really allowed me to, and I think every artist that shows with you to just completely explore whatever they want to do, with so much freedom. And I just want to say thank you. You're a part of such a significant part of my story and why I am who I am and why I try to treat the community here the way that I do. You've really led by example. So I love you very much, man.
I love you, brother, and you're welcome, and you deserve it. So,
I appreciate that. But talking about that, I realized that I don't know very much about your life, and just wanting to start from the beginning. Where were you born? Where'd you grow up?
I was born in a small town in Texas, south of Fort Worth. My dad worked for the railroad. When I was 8 years old, he got a promotion, and we moved to Southern California.
Okay.
Which is probably the best thing that ever happened to us, because it was so freaking cool in SoCal in 1967.
What part?
Rialto. He worked in San Bernardino. We lived in Rialto. They had the best schools. I had the best buddies. We had mountains, beach. We had it all.
Yeah.
A good life. So we lived there for 4 years. And my dad came home from work one night. We're eating dinner. I think we had the TV on. Back in those days, you'd have the TV setting up. We were watching like Gunsmoke or something. And he's like, "Well, I got some news." And my mom looks up, and I'm a kid. I just like, whatever,
Mom's like, uh-oh.
She's like, "Oh, no, what?" He goes, "We're going to Topeka." My mom just starts bawling. She's like, "Oh, my God, Topeka, Kansas. I mean, here we are in Southern California, making good money, going on road trips." Yeah, the whole deal. So we moved to Kansas. And so I spent junior high, high school, went all the way through college in Kansas.
What do you think you gained from Kansas? Because California, it has everything, really, culturally.
Oh, totally.
The wilderness, it has the desert. You can drive an hour in each direction and you get to the beach. Having a lot of the those sorts of options taken away from you and being put into Kansas. What are your time spent there? Like, what do you think you gained from being there?
And, it teaches you to find the really cool stuff when there's not a lot of really cool stuff.
Yeah.
So I was really into hunting, fishing, camping,
Okay.
all that kind of stuff. And Kansas has got it.
Yeah.
There's not a lot of urban reality going on there. But as far as outdoors goes, there's a lot of wide open space.
Yeah.
So I learned to hunt, and I already knew how to fish, but I really got into fishing. And we'd go on crazy campouts on the river.
Nice.
Lots of bicycling, a lot of cool stuff. And, people think Kansas, oh, how uncool, whatever, blah, blah. And it was at first. But the time I got into college, I realized how cool Lawrence, Kansas is. They call Lawrence the Berkeley of the Plains because it's such a cool cultural hub of all kinds of crazy, cool people. And my buddies, I have this couple that were really good friends, my buddy Phil and his wife Caroline. And I remember one day they're like, hey, you want to go to a barbecue at Bill's house? And I'm like, sure, let's go. I knew who it was. It was Bill Burrows.
Oh.
And they're best buddies with him. We went to William Burroughs's to this barbecue party. It was off the hook.
That's awesome.
It's like the people that were there, I was trying to figure out who they were because I was like, these got to be because they were such trippy people, so cool. And we wound up having a throwdown with him and watching him. At one point, we're in the kitchen drinking cocktails out of pouring them out of a plastic tea pitcher. And he looks over at Phil and he's like, hey, Phil, you got a watch on? And Phil's like, yeah, Bill, why? And he's like, time me. I want to see how long I can hold this hit. And he takes a puff off the marijuana pipe or the reefer or whatever we're smoking. And he sits there for a minute or more. And I'm just sitting there going, oh my God, I'm going to be at the table where Bill Burroughs, dies on a body. And then he blows it out. Absolutely. We're just laughing. I'm like, oh yeah. So, you can find amazing little corners of culture anywhere.
Yeah.
Just depending on who you run into and who you become buddies with. So I had a good time there.
And I think there's so much to say about a slower pace of life. Like living in LA, I was born in Southern California, and when I was a year and a half, my mom and I moved to Tennessee, and I ended up growing up in Nashville. I went to high school in Issaquah.
Cool.
And then really bad living circumstance out here, living in a house that was getting foreclosed on, no electricity, no running water. I was brushing my teeth with a gallon
Dang.
water, using the bathroom at the gym, showering at the gym. So I had an opportunity to move in with some family on my father's side that I didn't really know in California. And the crazy thing to me was, I guess, hype culture. It was almost as if they were in the future culturally. My cousin was like, oh, you don't know about this? Oh, you're living in the past?
Stone Age.
Yeah, and it was really, really interesting. And it just, things that are trending, they circulate, they come through, and then they go away. And it was always what's new, what's fresh, the newest dance, the newest clothes. And then, I ended up moving back to Tennessee, and it kind of felt like moving back into the past a little bit. Besides a lot of racism that still kind of existing there, but no one cares who you are.
No, slower pace.
People are trying to not trying to be famous. People are just really humble and want to live their lives. So I absolutely get that, but it's so valuable because I think you really develop a wonderful sense of community with people that just want to spend time with you. Where did you go to college?
Kansas University.
Okay. What'd you go for?
I started out kind of with a rough idea. Originally, I was going to be a wildlife biologist.
Let's see that.
And I was like, okay. And so my mom talked me into going to KU. She goes, I tell you what, because I wanted to go to all these other schools where they had better programs. And she goes, why don't you just go for the first year at KU and see that's really what you want to do. Just get started. And then you can go wherever. We'll figure it out. Because they were helping me out with the finances and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So I went to KU for 1 year, and then I was like, there's no way I was leaving there. It was too much fun. It was too cool.
Yeah.
My buddies were all there. We had a blast. And I wound up getting a degree in anthropology.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah. Pretty cool. Interesting. I was a liberal guy, whatever. I wasn't even thinking about business. I was just like, what do I need to study to learn more about living on the planet? Yeah. So I went for that. Not a business degree.
What ambitions did you have with
I had no idea, but I was just fascinated with all that stuff.
Okay.
And so sky's the limit, when you're in college. I just went for it.
Yeah.
Never really did it professionally, but had some really good reading and research classes and stuff like that with some amazing professors.
Okay. What did you end up doing after that?
Well, the first thing I did as soon as I got out of college is I bought a mountain bike, like the first wave of mountain bikes, and I bought a bunch of gear. And
the first wave.
Yeah, first wave. I mean, it was the first time that mountain bikes were commercially available, as far as I know. It was probably 1984.
Okay.
And so I bought a Ross Mount Rainier from our buddies. Our buddy had a Birkenstock store, and then he put a bike shop in there with the Birkenstocks. And I went in there, and he's got a Ross Mount Rainier. So I go, I'm going to take that and tour Europe on a mountain bike because it'll be cool. What the hell? So I bought the bike. I got all the gear to go with it, and I split town.
Wow.
Told my girlfriend goodbye. At that point I'd been working for this guy running this sandwich shop bar, little empire. And it was good money, and we're having a blast, but I was like, I got to go do some adventure. So that was the first big blast out. And I tell people all the time who haven't done that, especially if they're out of their 20s, it's like, get on it, Don't wait to have the big adventure, because a lot of folks think, well, I'm going to do my career, and then I'll do the big adventure when I'm old. They either die, or they're feeble, or they just don't have the chutzpah to do it anymore, that kind of thing. It's way more fun when you're 24 and you're in Europe and you're just hamming it up.
Then you're like, oh, my health insurance. All of my stuff.
Right.
It's more difficult to leave something that you've developed.
You get too dialed in,
Where did you go?
I flew to London, and I thought I was going to ride the bike out of London, but it was just it was Heathrow Airport. And I was like, okay, this is probably a bad idea, because most of it's freeway going out of there and stuff. And I go, you know what? So I went up to this elderly couple that were standing by the bus stop, and I said, hey, could I ask you a question? I'm on my bicycle, and it just seems like this is a bad place to start my trip. What should I do? What do you think? They go, oh, no, put it on the bus and go to Gravesend. And Gravesend is down the Thames. And still, there's still some roads here and there that are kind of crazy, but I was like, okay, thank you. And so I put the bike box or the bag on the bus and got to that little town, or not a little town, but more, at least you're out of London.
Yeah.
And I put the bike together and then started on my way.
Cool.
It was awesome. It was an amazing trip.
How long were you doing that for?
That trip turned out to be a 6-month trip. I just couldn't quit. I made it all the way to Greece. And then I met some cool Dutch people and wound up going back to Holland, and it was like a hoot. Europe's an amazing place.
Yeah.
A lot of amazing people. I've got so many stories of awesome people that didn't know me, hooking me up, taking care of me, let me sleep in their garage, in their car. I remember I met these punk rockers in Amiens, it's a kind of old industrial town in northern France. And it's all these high-rise buildings, kind of like the projects,
Okay.
and tons of people living in them. And I was in this coffee shop, bar, pinball palace kind of place, and I meet the punk rock kids, and they're like, hey, what, they don't even speak English. So in French somehow we're like, what's happening? And I'm like, I don't know, blah, blah, blah. And they're like, so I wound up hanging out with those guys all day. And then one of the guys, he goes, you can you can crash in my dad's car in my garage. And so we go back, and he's got this old Citroen in his garage, and I crash in there. And I hung out there for a couple of days, and and it was like that everywhere.
Wow.
Everywhere I went, it was some kind of crazy situation. Awesome. And, having grown up riding bikes in the States, it's fun, but it's people are a lot more appreciative of bicycles, especially in France.
Yeah.
Like, you never get any attitude from anyone. No one yells at you or throws stuff at you. In the States, somebody might throw a beer bottle at you just because, say, screw you or whatever. Because there's some doofballs hanging out, some assholes,
What was your favorite place to go to?
In Europe?
Yeah. On that trip?
Probably the place that I had the most fun, that I love the culture, the food, it was Holland.
Really?
Yeah, Holland was amazing. I met these guys in Greece, and they were like the party kids, and we were all staying at the same beach kind of camp out place, and they're like, oh, you should, when you come back, stop through Den Haag, and so Den Haag is the capital. It's like Amsterdam, but it's not Amsterdam, so it's not, the tourists don't go there for the weed and the party and all that stuff, but Den Haag has everything Amsterdam has. It's got the bicycles, got the weed, got the food, got the everything. So I go back there, and it turns out my buddy, Chris, the main guy who said you could stay at my house, he lived with his mom and his sister. They were Indonesian. So his mother cooked us every night. She cooked an Indonesian meal that had like 30 plates every night. I was just like, good God, you guys are living the dream. It was so awesome. They were the most amazing people.
And no cell phone.
No cell phone.
How were you navigating? Like just a map?
Paper maps.
Wow.
Yeah, the good old days. Really fun. I love paper maps, so you're getting a paper map, you got to stop, you got to look at it, you got to figure it out.
Dude, that sounds so incredible. Because now, I'm 36, and there's a part of me that, I'm still very young, but I would just be so anxious without certain, technology, or like, oh, I can't call 911 if I need to, or an emergency phone call, or,
That's a modern phenomenon.
can I get my purified water? What about my electrolyte? Like those things can be figured out, of course, but there are just so many things. I guess I'm realizing
payphones. That's about it. And other than that, and then you have to write people's numbers and addresses down in your little black book. And
okay, yeah, obviously,
it's the old way,
Yeah, well, that's. I love that you told me that, because I didn't know that, but now, seeing the things that you like to do and the way in which those things have translated into what you're doing now, there's so much more clarity, because, you have the photos of the payphones. And there's a part of me that was like, I really love them, but I was like, why payphones? And now I'm like, oh yeah, that's how you could connect with some people if you needed to. Hey, I'm going to be heading into your town in a couple of days. Like, can I stay with you? And it just makes that so much more profound. Or the mountain biking, because do you mind me asking how old you are?
67.
And you're still going and mountain biking.
Trying to. It's good. I don't do crazy stuff anymore, or maybe, but not as much.
Hey, crazier stuff than I do.
But for me, and I watch videos of guys where I'm going, what are these guys doing? They're going down here. It's not even a trail. It's like it's just a bunch of rock drops. And I'm like, stay off that stuff.
Yeah, but it just, knowing that you still do that, it just makes me feel so much more sentimental towards it.
It's mountain biking is an addiction too. Once you get stoked on it, it's hard to
back off.
Yeah, you kind of need the
that's
the
great.
buzz.
So you're still, if you can do that at 67.
Well, I'm stoked. I've got a mountain bike stashed in Mexico at my friend's house.
Okay.
So, and it needs maintenance. And I did the brakes on it last time I was there, but there's some issues where I need better tools because one of the brakes has got corrosion. I can't open the worm screws and all that, but I've still got enough brakes on it, and I'm going to tear it up down there. Yeah, because what I do is I just go. It's not a lot of crazy mountain biking down there, but what it is it's like little 2-lane roads with very little traffic going to like Mayan villages out in the jungle. You know, super awesome.
Yeah,
and you see weird birds, monkeys. Haven't seen a jaguar yet, but I've seen the signs that say warning jaguar area, you know, and there's nobody around and there's ruins and, you know.
Yeah, and
it's a trip.
You know, I've always admired that you've taken time to go and take these significant trips, but seeing as how you did it when you were younger for so long, it makes so much more sense now. What do you think continuing to do that, how do you think it has benefited you? Like, what do you gain from doing it?
You know, a life experience, and then also just an understanding of people, a love of people. I think a little bit of traveling goes a long way, but I worry about people that have never traveled, never left their area, because you need to open your heart and mind up. And I think the more cool people you meet and the more situations you come across, it's good for everybody, you know, and it's especially good for you, just on your world outlook. And adventure is, you know, it's essential.
Yeah. Ben, that's it's one thing that I feel like I am not good at. I'm really, really, really bad about taking time off. Anytime I go on vacation, I am just miserable because I just have work to do.
Got to get back to your project.
Dude, got to get back to it because, you know, it just feels like you're swimming in the ocean of uncertainty, and how can you pull ahead? And I think that there are a lot of things that you can benefit from with doing that and having that mentality. But at the same time, you know, I try to remind myself, you need to go out and experience life to be able to have something to talk about, you know.
Well, and so for instance, this trip to Mexico, I've been down there and I have a bunch of good buddies. I'm not just going to be on vacation. I'm actually going to pick up some more art from I've got remember I brought 4 art from 4 artists back down there last year, and I'm going to bring back some more art and put some other art up on the walls. And I'm also one of my buddies that I met there years ago, who just also happens to be best buddies with Tom Barnes. It's another situation. They went to college together like long ago, and they're best friends. He was here in June. I think he was here in June, Steve. And he came over here, and Kat was having a show for Pride, and she had a bunch of really cool paintings up. And they hit it off, and he saw the collaborative stuff I've been doing with Kelsey.
Yeah.
And he looked at one of those, he goes, I want you to figure out how to print that so I can put that outside. He has this plunge pool at this amazing property he has in Merida, and he wants it out by the plunge pool in the garden. So I'm going to go down there and figure out how to get to either Merida, I hope, but it may have to go to Mexico City, but to get this thing produced and then installed. So we had a little side job, you know?
Cool.
So it's a combination. It's like, it's a working vacation.
That's nice. I feel like I could do something like that.
Yeah, then you've got direction and, you know, and I do anyway, because I'm a photographer, and I've been shooting people down there the whole time, like in their studio and stuff.
Yeah.
So it's because, I know I don't want to just go sit on the beach and get drunk every day, because that's like, what are you doing because I'm going to go there for a month. Yeah. And it'd be like, oh, Mr. Leisure, you're just, because we're kind of workaholics a little bit. We need structure, got to get her done, you know?
Yeah. And I very frequently get physically ill once I'm taken out of my routine. It takes 5 days of just my stomach bothering me, not feeling well. Like it's just not good. But my girlfriend and I are going to be going to New York City for the first time.
Sweet.
And I'm so stoked. We're going for a play but it is also the Freeze Art Week or Freeze Fair.
That's awesome.
Week. So I'm like, all right, do that, get to do the museums, and kind of have that, slightly self-indulgent going there to do other things, but then also having some really wonderful experiences with art. So 6 month biking, backpacking trip around Europe. What are your thoughts coming back to America? Like, what sort of plans, if any, did you have set into place for yourself to return on what you were going to do? Because I can imagine maybe a little homesick, but I can imagine being very sad coming back.
It's the first time in my life I ever experienced culture shock in my own country. After 6 months, especially being in Holland for a while. And I got back, and my little brother and my best buddy picked me up at the Kansas City airport, and they just looked at me, and they're like, "You've changed." I had some weird haircut that I got drunk and tried to cut my hair or something, and then one of my friends could try to fix it because they cut hair, but they're like, it's going to look like a mohawk by the time we get done with it, And so I had culture shock, and I got back, and I didn't really have a plan. I was just kind of like, I'm just going to roll with the punches and see what happens. And then these dudes I knew, my buddies, they were in a punk rock band. They're like, "Hey, we need a roadie. You want to go with us on this East Coast tour, Midwest East Coast?" I'm like, "Let's do it."
Yeah.
So we jumped in the van and we did like Tennessee, Kentucky, Ohio, all these, Pennsylvania. Came back to the Midwest, and we had some actually kind of really cool interfaces. Like they're buddies with Husker Du. They opened up for Husker Du in like Louisville, Kentucky, or somewhere like that. The most amazing part of that tour, we were in Minneapolis at the is it the 7th Street entry? It's the small bar on the big bar. There's this huge place there where Purple Rain was shot and all that. So they're playing in the little bar, and I'm the sound guy. I'm sitting there doing my thing, and these two huge dudes, a big black guy and a big white guy, they look like professional wrestlers or something. They're dressed nice, but they're like Garganto guys. And I'm like, "Oh, what's this all about?" They walk up to me in the sound booth, and they're like, "Hey, can we ask you a question?" I go, yeah, what's going on? They're like, "Do you care if Prince plays when these guys are done?" I was like, "No, I'm sure that'll be fine, but let me ask the band."
Yeah.
So they're standing there waiting, and I run down to the stage in between when there's a moment between songs, and I go, "Hey, you guys, Prince wants to play when you guys are done, and can you use your instruments?" Because that was part of the deal, because he didn't have any stuff. And, they're just like, "Screw you," because I'm a joker.
Yeah.
I'm like, "I'm serious," and they're like, "Yeah, whatever." So I just came back and they said, "Oh yeah, everything's fine. It'll be fine." So Prince came in with two of his guys and did like a 45-minute, hour-long set.
Wow.
And they locked the door, because there was a huge club next door, and all these people wanted to come in. It's like, no, this is for the people that were already here, who came for this poor little punk rock band. There's probably 50 people there or something.
Wow.
So he did this set. So, this crazy stuff happens. You just got to get out there.
Was it just him, or did he have a band?
No, he had two other guys with him. He had like a drummer
Okay.
and like a bass player, and I think he was just playing guitar. I don't think he even sang. It was just like this electric jam. But it's been so long. It was like 1984, I think.
Were you into photography at this time?
No, not really. When Prince passed away and they had like a blitz on the radio here for it, I can't remember who it's. Somebody has a board recording of that event.
Oh, cool.
There's a tape. I was like, I need to get a copy of that tape, or I need to at least hear it. Maybe I can just look it up online. I'm sure somebody at KEXP, because it was KEXP, were doing all the stuff, and I was like, oh my God, they have a recording of that night, because we were there. And I didn't do the sound because I put it on the sound, but the sound guy there, I could see he was just about to piss his pants, And I go, do you want to do this sound? He goes, yeah. I'm like, dude, I don't want to do this sound for Prince. I want to just watch the show,
Wow.
Yeah, so stuff like that, That was that trip. And then that night, everybody got so stoked that our drummer, Daryl, and we actually got invited to an after party at Prince's place. So we were invited to the after
Did
party.
you go?
No, we couldn't because the drummer was because once he found out Prince was playing, he saw that Prince was there. They didn't believe me, but Prince came in. I think he just got so freaky that he had contacts on, and somehow he like scratched his eye. By the time we got to the van and we're trying to go to the party, his eye was impacted and swollen shut, and we're like,
Oh,
"Oh, dude!"
I would just call the ambulance.
I say, just take him out of here. We're going to the party. I know that's what.
Hey,
I'm the same.
suck it up.
I'm
for
the
a
same
night.
way. I've been in that situation a few times with rock bands and stuff, and they're like, "We're not going." I go, "What do you mean we're not going? I mean, this is like
History.
we got to go." Yeah.
This is history.
Yeah.
So you're doing that, and when did doing this like tour end with this group?
I think that lasted like, probably just 2 months or something.
Okay.
I think we did the East Coast. We didn't make it to New York. Mostly like, we did Pittsburgh, Louisville, Kentucky, that kind of stuff. I don't remember all the dates, but then we worked our way back over to the Midwest, and we made it to Minneapolis, where that went down. And then that was the end of the tour of Minneapolis. After Daryl's eye got all, messed up, we're like, okay, still home.
Yeah.
And then I just went back to like working in a restaurant or a bar, sandwich shop, I think, or something.
In Kansas?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then I did that for 6 months and then moved to Washington State.
Okay. What brought you out here?
The guy that I was working for at the sandwich shop is like, hey, we should open one on the West Coast. So me and him and our buddy Jenny, who worked there too, we got in his Volkswagen bus and drove west and went everywhere, and sorted it out. And we found, believe it or not, we opened a submarine sandwich shop in Pullman, Washington.
Okay. Do you think you get the do you feel like you're living when you're traveling?
Yeah, it's completely different.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's the best.
I took a personality test recently, and it was going through the different personality types, and I believe the persister personality type is a person that is like doing the adventure to get this sense of life. Yeah. And I think it's funny because I just don't feel that way. A lot of the times I just feel inconvenienced because
I don't think it's for everybody.
I want to be alone.
Yeah, nothing wrong with that.
Working on stuff.
Yeah.
That's incredible though. I mean, yeah, it's so wonderful to hear that because, who you are makes so much more sense to you now. When did you get into photography?
About that time, I think 1986 or something like that. A guy I knew in Washington. He's like, he had a party photography business, like he'd shoot college parties and stuff, and he had a bunch of cameras, and he gave me a Pentax K1000, and I was like, cool, and which is a classic camera. It's hardcore. It's like metal, 35 millimeter.
Get an adult one of those.
And so I started shooting with that, and I was like, oh man, this is so cool. I'm going crazy. And then I moved back to Kansas, and my buddy Phil, and Caroline, who were in the story from the Burroughs party, they were back there. They had moved back from Paris. They'd been living in Paris. And Phil is a world-class photographer. And so I started hanging out with them on the weekends, and we would go out and drive around and shoot cameras and stuff. And then I immediately had to up my ante on gear and buy a Nikon and then a 4x5 and we got all
obsessed.
Yeah.
What value did you see in doing photography?
Joy. Pure fascination, just the concept of being able to capture the moments.
Because that's great. Because if you would have been into photography when Prince was there,
yeah, man.
So it's like
I screwed up. No, it just wasn't time yet.
And you're living this life of having these really, really awesome stories, and I'm assuming they definitely didn't stop happening. But I in the past year, I've really stepped away from showing a lot, and I have been romanticizing being an artist so much lately, because I'm like, why am I doing this if, I mean, dude, I'm working so much, man. And I was like, I'm doing really wonderful things and things that I feel like to me are significant. I think you almost have to feel that way, or else, why would you keep
what's
doing
the point?
it? Besides love,
Exactly.
And spending a lot of time thinking about the past and what something like a photograph would have, what it does to society. Because now, Prince probably would have gone viral for playing a concert.
Oh, totally.
But it just would have been, I think.
No cell phones back then.
Yeah. But just so short lived. But then, if you're in that sort of situation, having a camera really elevates, what you can do and an experience of it.
Document it and
because
see it later.
Seeing so much of your photography of rock and roll icons, it's just so beautiful. And I always thought like, oh wow, that's really, really cool. But now, all of your photography capturing that is so much more romantic to me.
Well, the Soundgarden stuff. I was like, oh, you were their photographer. I was like, no, I was their buddy.
Yeah.
That had cameras.
Yeah. So how did you get into doing more of that? Like coming back out here at some point, obviously.
I came back in 88.
Why did you want to come back?
7. Just because I'm a vagabond, I guess. I was like, I came back. I got a job. I think just a coffee shop, really cool coffee shop. And then had my camera gear and all that stuff. And then almost immediately discovered, with my good buddy Enzo, we were out one night in Pioneer Square going to see bands and stuff. And discovered the OK Hotel, which is this, monumental cultural event that happened in Seattle. It's where a lot of the bands started out. It's like Nirvana played there, all these different bands, that kind of place. And it was also had art galleries upstairs. It was just like a spot, a cool spot. Discovered that place, became buddies with those guys, started working there. And then there's ultimate photo opportunities of all these cool people and music and art and all that stuff. And then, of course, that lasted maybe, let's see, 2 or 3 years I was doing that. And then one of my buddies is like, oh, he's a fashion photographer. We're sitting in Pioneer Square on a rainy October night. And he goes, I just got a call from my booker, fashion, shoot booker guy from New York, and said, you got to go to South Beach. That's where it's happening. It's the hot spot. And I'm like, let's do it. So I had a Toyota 4x4 truck. We rented a trailer, filled it up with gear, and headed to South Beach. And got some amazing photos down there. Didn't really turn into a fashion photographer, but nonetheless got some of my best photos down there, and lived down there for a year. And by the time that was over, because I wasn't planning on staying there forever, that was just an adventure, came back to Seattle, and by that point they had made singles at the OK Hotel.
Okay.
And now it was like this situation, this scene, and then was there for maybe 4 more years working there and hanging out, making art, doing all that kind of stuff, until it finally, I don't know, somehow that part of it changed into more of a clubby thing,
Okay.
at the end. It was always cool, but things change,
Yeah. Right. I think
it's the personalities of the people involved. Like my buddies that started were still there, but there were new people, new energies,
like investors. Or
just
hey, we're gonna turn it into.
Yeah, we're gonna make this happen and that happen, and it was still cool, but it just so that was that.
It seems like the music scene here, a lot of people come through, but the people are moving to other places for it. What do you think has caused that to happen, where Seattle doesn't really seem like much of a music hub. It's more of a tech hub. Maybe a little bit of an art hub.
I think there's still a lot of amazing bands coming out of Seattle.
Okay.
I would say there still are. It's just not getting the kind of press, and it's not as what do you say, like grunge was a thing. But this is a diverse group of bands, really good bands coming out of Seattle.
Okay.
Grunge just happened to be the style that happened to happen at the right time at the right place.
Also,
so there's still good music.
I would assume people are still moving to certain places to pursue things, but with the internet,
they can't afford to live here anymore. I mean, this town is so expensive.
That's another.
When I was at the OK and staying in apartments around and stuff, you could get a place for $350, or you get a place for free. I lived at the OK Hotel free for 2 years.
Yeah,
I was just a dude upstairs. I had a dark room. I built a dark room in the back of the building.
Man, that's.
I had
awesome.
studio spaces where I was doing transfers, acrylic transfers on huge canvas panels up in these old hotel rooms. It was just like the dream come true for bohemian artist lifestyle.
Yeah,
We don't have much of that anymore.
That's so romantic, and I feel like everything. People are just trying to monetize everything, and rightfully so. But I heard Lauren Grossman. She's an artist that I used to live next door to. Incredible artist. She was telling me a story about having, I believe, a live work studio space here on Pike. $400.
Crazy.
Just this high ceilings.
Yeah.
And she said that every now and then the upstairs neighbor, who was a heroin addict, would take heroin and take a bath.
I would flood.
And then it would flood, and then they had to call 911 to go up there. Because water would start coming into their apartment.
Yeah, that's old Capitol Hill. Yeah.
And, there's just like all the space you could ever want. So, what led you to arriving here?
This space?
Yeah, you came here in 2004, 6?
I moved into this space in 2000.
Oh, wow. Okay.
It was just one of those moments that, got lucky.
Mm-hmm.
I used to work at a heavy metal bar where Queer Bar is now. It was called Bad Juju. Nice. And we were like industrial music, heavy metal. There was a snake and a herpetarium behind the bar, all that kind of stuff. Yeah. Crazy nights there, cool, crazy people. But, that was definitely the .com boom, the year, I think it opened in 99 or something like that, it was happening. People had money, but like alternative lifestyles mixed with a lot of money,
Mm-hmm.
So it was an interesting throwdown. So I worked there, and I did happy hours. I worked at night. I was working there one afternoon, and there was a woman that would come in, and she'd stop by, and then she'd go over to Value Village and buy stuff for her kids. And she brought her boyfriend in a couple of times, and he was just kind of a redneck from Snohomish, kind of long hair dude, and I'm like, don't worry, I'll take care of it. He's going to hang out and drink beer while she's shopping.
Yeah.
And so I just put on some Leonard Skinner for him or something, and he'd be like, this place is cool. And I'm like, yes, whatever. So she's like, man, you're cool. I can't believe how cool you are that you're putting up with this guy, because I know he's my boyfriend. Anyway, she comes in like maybe a month later or something. She goes, hey, there's an apartment that's come up. It's not even come up on the market, but it's open. It's available, but nobody knows. And you're the guy that needs to get it. And I'm like, okay. And so she gives me all the info. I don't do shit. I'm such a slacker. I'm just partying and running around having a good time. She comes back like 2 weeks later. She goes, did you get the apartment? I'm like, no, I haven't been over there yet. She's like, get over there tomorrow. And so I did. I walked in the front door of Perkins Glass, and anybody who ever did business with Perkins Glass would know that it was kind of a severe old school office atmosphere, shop atmosphere, like no monkey business. And so I walked into the front office, and it seems like everybody that was working there happened to be in the office simultaneously. And I go, well, just going to ask them. I go, I hear you guys have an apartment for rent. And everybody looks up like, how did you, and she told me, the woman that turned me onto the place, she said, don't tell them that I told you, just tell them a little bird sent you, So I said, a little bird sent me, and they all just like, and then immediately Grandma Perkins, bless her heart, she passed away a few years after that, but awesome woman, awesome lady. She brought me upstairs and showed me the place. I couldn't believe this place was so huge. I was just like, and the rent was amazingly good deal.
Yeah.
And, she said, oh, we have to raise the rent because the guys that were here before kind of trashed it and messed it up and did all kinds of shit. But I was like, I didn't even look at the whole place. I said, I'll take it.
Yeah.
And then I went back. It's funny because I went back and she gave me the keys. I gave her a check or whatever, and she gave me the keys. And I went to the back to the Juju, and one of my is a Finnish guy, this cool metal, one of my bros at the bar. I go, dude, I got this place. And so we got a bottle of vodka or something, came over here, and we're just drinking vodka and, fucking looking around.
Yeah.
And I opened one of these doors. I go, oh my God, there's another room.
Yeah.
Didn't even know there was another room. So anyway, 2000, moved in 2000. And then almost not immediately, but within maybe 6 years or something like that, I was like, I got to show art here.
Yeah. What made you want to do that?
I was just looking at the walls and the neighborhood, and I go, like, I'm in the middle of the action zone. We can have art shows here,
Yeah.
And I've got other buddies that were painters then. I didn't know hardly any. I didn't know as many. Now I know a ton of artists, but back then I just had a few artist buddies. I said, let's start having shows here. So we started having shows.
That's so awesome.
And it was very chill, but our buddies would come over and,
Yeah.
And then the art walk wasn't as big of a deal back in like 2008 or whatever. It's kind of, but over the years it's grown and it's gone up and down, but it's stayed at a certain level.
Yeah. I can imagine a lot of really wonderful, awesome late nights.
Oh yeah,
making art or having shows.
Yeah,
schmoozing.
Yeah, and I would play albums. Turntable.
Cool.
The whole.
Oh, that's awesome, man.
And it had carpet then. I got rid of the carpet a few years ago. I was terrible shag,
Yeah.
And then the lighting was kind of cheesy too. I mean, it's what you do when you don't have a bunch of money. But I had clip lights with hot lights on stands like this all over the place. And so I look at old photos of this place with art show, and it's like there's a little light on the corner.
Yeah, some dim light.
But then I realized it's not that expensive to put in this kind of lighting if you do it yourself. And so I went to Home Depot, and bought a bunch of Home Depot track lighting and came up with a system.
And you're super handy. When did you get into doing like woodworking and what?
Like junior high.
Oh,
yeah, I took woodworking.
Okay, so that carried through.
Yeah, I've always been into that kind of stuff. I'm trying to think. It's like and that's another point. Accessibility to shops and workspace. That's what a lot of people don't have.
Yeah.
And if a lot of people just give them a place where they can make work, they're going to do it because they want to do it. They'll learn how to do it. And that's the problem now in this town because people can't afford to have space. But people are doing some really good stuff. But it's just having access. Like at the OK Hotel, we had the basement. We had a shop in the basement. You could just do whatever you want.
Yeah. It's one thing that woodworking is one thing that I have really wanted to get into.
It's super handy. It comes in really handy.
Just because I don't like having to go somewhere to get a thing, and I would rather build it. And I think when you're learning one thing influences like everything else that you're doing.
The more you know, the better.
What year did you meet Kelsey?
We went to high school together.
In Kansas?
Yeah, and I didn't know him that well in high school. I knew who he was. He was kind of like, the hood,
Yeah.
Dude had hair down to his butt, But he's cool. I didn't have an issue with it. That's like he's the different, social group. I was like wearing cowboy boots and driving a pickup truck,
like jockish,
listening. No, more like just listening to Marshall Tucker and going and hunting and fishing and stuff. And then since I did go to KU, which is 30 miles away from Topeka, a bunch of people that I went to high school with went to KU.
Oh, okay.
And so, when you go to it's a big school, a lot of people. Naturally, the kids from the little place all kind of wind up kind of hanging out together. Mm-hmm. And he became one of my best buddies. We were like drinking buddies, drinking pitchers and talking philosophy and, Yeah. And actually, it's funny, I have three friends from college that I was real good friends with that live in Seattle now, that I'm still friends with.
Cool. That's awesome.
Yeah, so very lucky,
Yeah.
And we're all still are avid cyclists, hikers, all mountain stuff,
Adventurers.
So very lucky. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, that's so awesome. I think I vaguely remember you telling me that previously. So I'm assuming, you two were just going up and cycling with each other, and one day we're just having a conversation about working together. How long ago was that?
Oh no, this project, the neon thing started, I think it's about 5 or 6 years ago. He started doing, he wasn't doing neon outdoors, but he was just doing crazy big neon pieces.
Yeah.
And he says, okay. So I go, dude, let's do a show at my place. I got the space. I'm the curator. I'm your buddy.
Yeah, let's
do a show there. So we did a show here, and it was a big hit. And wasn't long after that he got a gig, like a residency. It was just a 3-day thing where we could go up there and stay at Pilchuck and set neon up out in the woods. Nobody around. It wasn't a show. It was just like an opportunity to practice the craft. And so we brought a truck up there with a bunch of neon. I brought all my gear. We shot a bunch of stuff. And that then led to, he started doing outdoor stuff, more outdoor stuff. And he's like, he wanted to hire me to photograph his stuff for him. And I'm like, well, it's an expensive, it's a job,
Yeah.
And it's not like something you just do for fun forever or whatever. And he goes, should we collaborate? You want to collaborate? I go, we can do that. Let's collaborate. Because it's good. It's a job. It needs more than one person, And then that led to, because of that first thing at Pilchuck, then he did Light the Forest. And then because of Light the Forest, the first Light the Forest, where it was like neon at night, and they let people come and look at it, and I documented all that. And then our buddy, who was the art director there, asked us if we wanted to do a class. So we taught a class there. And then that's just, we slowly built our little portfolio on this. And then we got a residency in Wyoming, which was amazing.
Yeah, what was that like?
Unbelievable. I didn't want to leave.
How long were you there for?
A month.
Oh, man.
But I could have stayed there for a year.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was the coolest place. It was an old ranch, like an amazingly beautiful ranch on this creek that's just full of giant trout, and there's bear and elk and coyotes and porcupines and all that kind of stuff. It's this valley that comes down out of the Bighorn Mountains.
Okay.
And this woman, Nelchie, her name is Nelchie, was in 1966. She was in a bad marriage to a guy in New York, and I think they had 2 kids, and she was just fed up with it. But she also was heir to a fortune, So she loaded the kids up in the car and drove west and wound up in Sheridan, Wyoming, and wound up becoming a big-time art benefactor in that place. Bought this ranch, turned it into a residency. She had her personal residence down the road, down by the main highway, about 2 miles from where the ranch is, which is a spectacular museum of her art collection of art now. And also a place where people go and do residencies and stuff like that. So, Sheridan, Wyoming. I mean, my first thought, Sheridan, Wyoming, I just pictured, I hadn't been there. I'd been through Wyoming, but further south. And I thought, Sheridan, Wyoming, that sounds like a bunch of oil field dudes and,
Yeah.
or coal or whatever, and trailer houses and gunfights, or, you just
Yeah.
figure it's going to be something like that. No, super cool.
Really?
I mean, there's ranches, amazing ranches, there's rednecks, there's everybody, but it's the most amazing place you've ever been. We used to have so much fun just going in they still have old timey kind of cowboy bars there, because they have bars for like yuppies or whatever, like nice bars with good food. They have these old timey bars that have pool tables, ashtrays on every square inch of the place. Everybody's smoking.
Yeah.
Crazy old characters, and there's a few of them around there. So they still got that culture going on, but also all this like really serious art stuff going on.
That's awesome.
Great art stuff going on. Yeah, you just don't know.
That.
There's cool people everywhere doing cool stuff,
Yeah,
But
definitely.
this is in Wyoming, in a beautiful place,
Okay. Do you guys have anything coming up?
We do. Well, we've got some stuff that we're not quite ready to talk about until we're certain.
Okay. Yeah.
But I'm pretty sure it's certain. There's some really big stuff coming up that's super cool.
Awesome.
We're still applying for residencies and stuff like that. But yeah, there's some really good things in the works. Things keep happening. Did you see the article in the Seattle Mag about Kelsey? It was like, it's about influencers, the most important people of the year or whatever in Seattle. Yeah.
Oh, I think I actually
you can
did
check it
see a post or something like that.
I got to get a copy of it,
Yeah. No, that's great. He's wonderful. And I want to have him on to sit down and
Oh,
talk to him.
definitely. He's a character.
Follow you guys out.
He's got stories.
Cool, Gilby. I appreciate it so much, man. I love you, brother. Thank you for doing this.
Hey, thanks for coming by. This is awesome.
We'll do it again sometime. Yeah. I'll call that it.